Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Out, and you are watching BAM, the Political Vigilante, coming to you live from the clouds above Gotham City. We've done pretty extensive coverage of the SAG and writers' strike that has been going on. The writers have been on strike since May. The actors have been on strike since early July. I'm in SAG-AFTRA. I've walked the picket line numerous times and will continue to. I try to get out there at least once a week. If I'm not traveling. I have a bunch of videos. If you go to my channel of interviewing people from the picket line, there's an interview with Michael McKean from Spinal Tap and Better Call Saul. There's interviews with Ron Placone. There's interviews with writers, directors, people from the nurses union, the teachers union marching in solidarity, a man from the Black Lives Matter, the actual organization. It's really cool. Agents we've had, there's a lot of great solidarity. And then we've shown like how Bill Maher is, he's all these, he's a rich guy who, the streaming services have made, the networks and the big studios and the big corporate media. When I talk about corporate media, we're also talking about Hollywood has made Bill Maher rich. Also, now we know who else has been made rich is, Drew Barrymore has done quite well by the studio system, and she has brought her daytime talk show back on the air using Scab writers. There's some stuff that's in production right now because they've signed interim deals. That's not crossing a picket line. Like, I'm raising money for this documentary about Bitcoin in El Salvador. That's not crossing a picket line. Documentaries are not part of the strike. Game shows are not part of the strike. Daytime TV, but if they're using writers, Scab writers, Drew Barrymore show. Audience members say they were kicked out for Writers Guild support amid picket. The talk show resumed taping without its 3 WGA writers Monday as pictures demonstrated outside CBS studios. So that she's a Scab. She's using Scab writers. This happened today. Writers Guild of America members and scribes for the Drew Barrymore show picketed outside CBS studios in New York on Monday as the daytime talker resumed filming amid the writers and actors strike. Is Drew Barrymore really having a problem with money? She can't stand in solidarity. How entertaining is Drew Barrymore without writers? 2 audience members who had signed up for free tickets to the taping were handed WGA pins by picketers as they walked into the door and say they were asked to leave before the show began because they were wearing the pins. So Drew Barrymore is against you wearing a pro-union pin in her taping. Did the people start shouting out, and is that why they were asked to leave? Which, hey, hats off if they're like supporting the strike and shouting out. But of course they're going to get kicked out. If you're shouting out, it's like if you came into a comedy club and yelled, you'd be kicked out, right? No, they just had pins on. Dominic Terzic and Cassidy Carter, 2 New York City-based students, planned to attend the show after signing up for free tickets about a week and a half ago. Which, by the way, this is one of the things people do when you come to LA as a tourist. You can go see these live tapings. It's a cool thing you get to do. Talk shows, game shows, you can be in the audience. It's if you've never been on the set of a TV show, it's a cool thing to do in LA. You get to see how the you get to see show business. It's cool. So yeah, 2 tourists from New York said, I want to go to that show. Maybe they're really fans of Drew Barrymore, whatever. They were handed buttons from picketers that read Writers Guild on strike. The Writers Guild is outside striking outside of CBS. It's one of the places that are striking. Drew Barrymore decided to go back to work today. The 2 say they were asked to take off the buttons at security, which Carter complied. Terzic was still wearing his button, and they entered the studio space. He said a crew member spotted the button and asked them both to leave. Wow, the crew is just selling out. It's our policy to welcome everyone to our show tapings. Due to heightened security concerns today, we regret that 2 audience members were not permitted to attend and were not allowed access. Drew was completely unaware of the incident. Yeah, but she's aware there's a strike. Drew Barrymore can't be like, gee, I didn't know. The producers, I didn't know. You know there's a strike. You drove past the picket line this morning. You knew your union writers didn't show up. You know what you're doing, Drew Barrymore. Everyone in Hollywood knows there's a strike going on. It is affecting every single person in Los Angeles. all the ancillary businesses. And so when Bill Maher says stupid crap and Drew Barry puts this stuff, don't put it on the striking writers and actors who are just trying to get their bills paid. It's on the the big studio executives making $20-30 million a year. And it's on you, Drew Barrymore, with your 7-8 figure income. So is she going to be like, golly gee, I didn't know. Yeah, there's this, all anyone in LA is talking about is the damn strike, because it's affecting everybody. Caterers, makeup people, it's affecting everybody. Everybody. I've had like A-list sound people and production people calling me up going, Graham, are you doing this documentary in El Salvador? I'd love to work on it. Really wonderful people. I hope I get to hire. I talk with investors today. I'm trying to get money. I hope I can put people to work. I know how desperate it is. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't cross a picket line. I'm not going to scab to get work because I'm a man. I have integrity. I have a soul. And we won't forget this union, this strike is the biggest. The last time both unions were on strike together, the actors and the writers, was in the 1960. No one's going to forget this. So if you're a scab, no one's going to forget it. No one should forget what Bill Maher said. No one should forget what these people are doing. Drew was completely unaware of the incident, and we are now in the process of reaching out to the affected audience members to offer them new tickets. I hope they just get like WGA head to toe gear. The two later joined the picket line outside, donning WGA shirts, and Terzak said, I think if they think we're part of the strike, we might as well be. Well, thank you, Drew Barrymore. We just got, and there's the photo of them, these two people are now in solidarity with the writer's strike, and they didn't even consider themselves as part of the strike, because they got kicked out. Now they are. Right on. But now is disheartened by the experience. It really has changed my perspective on her and the show in general, Carter said. I've been completely alarmed and disheartened by this whole process. Barrymore announced her decision Sunday to resume filming the show, saying that the talk show would not use WGA writers and would otherwise be complying with WGA and Sykes-Drag rules. The Drew Barrymore Show is produced under the Network Television Code, which is a separate contract and is not struck. It is permissible work, and Drew's role as host does not violate the current strike rules. Boo! The show is returned without its WGA writers and will be picketing outside the show since it is still a struck show. And hey, WGA writers, when the strike ends, don't go back to that show. Don't work for Bill Maher. Don't work for Drew Barrymore. Don't work for them. Don't any of you writers work for them. And I'll probably have a TV show and I'll hire you. If you and be vocal, walk out, I'm not, and then say, hey, I need a job. I'm doing the right thing. I'm standing by my union. I need a job. You have a right to say that. You have a right to say, I'm doing the right thing. I'm giving up work and I need some help. And somebody that's a showrunner or producer, executive producer is going to hire you. And if it can be me, it'll be me. I make no promises. I got to sell this game show first, but I'm just saying. Monday's scheduled show was a repeat airing of the April 11th, 2023 episode, which featured Brooke Shields, blah, blah, blah. 3 WGA writers, who are all co-head writers on the show, were in attendance at the picket line and said they found out that the show, which has been in hiatus since April, would resume via audience ticket giveaways that were posted on social media. Chelsea White, one of Drew Barrymore's show writers, was picketing outside the studio on 57th Street, said she was surprised and disappointed that the show had resumed. Oh, I guess the show is in New York. My apologies. But in New York, there's some shows. You can go to New York or LA if you ever want to sit in on a show. I thought the show was shot in LA. My apologies. I got that wrong. I think in general, this is obviously bigger than 3 writers on the Drew Barrymore show. It's a bummer to hear that the show is going back because it sends a message that union writers are not valuable. And it goes directly against what the WGA and SAG-AFTRA and all unions are trying to band together to stand up against the greedy studios. And this affects you in whatever business you're in. You work at Starbucks? Do you work at Amazon? What's happening with the big studios and the streaming services is Amazon is one of the streaming services. Oh, and by the way, they're screwing over their own workers in the warehouses at Amazon and people that are writers and actors and producers. I have 2 movies on Amazon Prime, Earbuds, the podcasting documentary, and Afghanistan, that I was told they're not making any money. How do I know that? Because they just told me. They don't reveal their financials. We don't know. We all figured we'd have heard something if it was an interim agreement. I think a lot of people in the public figured that's probably what was the case. Yeah, it wasn't. Wright said, but since the 3 of us had not heard anything, we were pretty sure that something was up. Wright said he has not heard from anyone on the show since the announcement would resume filming. Liz Q, another writer for the show, said she saw coworkers going to the building money and that there's mutual support between the coworkers and the writers, adding, it's not just 3 people's jobs, it's everybody's jobs. I think it's such a complicated issue. I think that Drew cares about the show. She cares about the crew. She cares about us. She cares about everything. And I think she made the best decision she could. All right, you're trying to keep your job. I'm disappointed, but I understand that everybody has to do what they feel is best for them, said writer Christina Kuhn. For me, the WGA writers on the show, it's important for us to stick with our union. We deserve a fair contract. So we are here today outside. What Drew Barrymore could do is just give everybody on her crew some money because she's rich and then support the WGA strike. The 3 Drew writers arrived early Monday and provided coffee for the other WGA pickers who showed up in support. As for whether the 3 writers would return to the show once the strike was resolved, they say the issue is complicated. In April, when we were on the hiatus, which was a couple weeks before the strike, at that time, it was the idea to return to the show. And that was the last conversation that we had with anyone about the show. She added, maybe no comment. Never forget when somebody scabs on you. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. We'll keep covering the strike. We'll keep covering the strike. I'm a SAG-AFTRA member, and I support the strike. And I'll be walking more picket lines in front of more studios. Shave your knuckles for justice.